You know, the land we now call Pakistan, it's been the stage for some of history's biggest dramas. So today, we're going to journey through thousands of years to understand how this incredible crossroads of empires, cultures, and religions became the nation it is today.
All right, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the very first settlements, then walk through the great empires that conquered the land. We'll see the arrival of Islam, explore the amazing Mughal Golden Age, get a handle on the impact of British rule and partition, and then wrap things up with a look at the journey of modern Pakistan.
Okay, so to really get a handle on modern Pakistan, you've got to go way back. What are the forces that over thousands of years have shaped this land into such a dynamic and often contested space? That's the big question we're digging into today.
Wow, this timeline really puts the sheer scale of this history into perspective, doesn't it? I mean, we're not just talking about a few centuries here. This is a story that goes back more than 9,000 years, right to the dawn of agriculture.
All right, let's dive into our first chapter and see where it all began, with one of the world's earliest and, honestly, most sophisticated urban cultures.
So, picture this. While the pyramids were being built in Egypt and cities were rising in Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley civilization was their equal, a real powerhouse of its time. I mean, these guys were pioneers, with advanced city planning and amazing skills in metalworking. They used wheeled carts and boats, creating trade links that stretched all the way to Central Asia.
So, what happened next? Well, as those amazing cities started to decline, partly because of climate change, a new chapter began. Indo-Aryan tribes migrated into the valley, and their culture started to fuse with local traditions. It's this synthesis that gave rise to the Vedic culture and the writing of the Vedas, the foundational texts of Hinduism.
Okay, the geography of this place, a super fertile valley that connects whole continents, is absolutely key to what comes next. It basically put a giant target on the land, making it an irresistible prize for expanding empires from all directions.
So first on the scene, the Persians, under the legendary King Darius the Great. They marched in and made the region part of their massive empire, setting up provinces they called satrapies. This was huge because for the first time, the Indus Valley was run by a centralized bureaucratic system. And that way of running things, it would influence rulers in this region for centuries.
And who comes next? None other than Alexander the Great. Now, his actual rule over the area was pretty brief, but his legacy was immense. He left behind Greek communities, and this sparked this really unique, fascinating blend of Greek and local Indian cultures in what became the Indo-Greek kingdoms.
So with Alexander's empire falling apart after he died, it left a power vacuum. And who stepped in? A new power rising from the Ganges Plain, the Mauryan Empire. They grabbed the opportunity, and for the very first time, a huge chunk of the subcontinent, including the Indus Valley, was united under one homegrown power.
And this all sets the stage for what is arguably one of the biggest transformations in the region's entire history, the arrival and the spread of Islam.
That's really important to get this. This wasn't an overnight thing. It was a gradual process that unfolded over hundreds of years. It started with Arab caliphates bringing the new faith in the 8th century. Then came Turkic dynasties from Central Asia, and finally you have the Delhi Sultanate, which really solidified Islamic civilization and led to a cultural blending that gave birth to the Urdu language.
So, the end of the Delhi Sultanate wasn't really an end at all. It was actually the beginning of a brand new, spectacular era under one of the most powerful dynasties in world history, the Mughals.
So what was the big difference with the Mughals? Well, besides being one powerful family dynasty, they had a secret weapon, gunpowder. They brought firearms and field artillery to the battlefield. That technology was a total game changer. It let them just steamroll their rivals and build a stable empire that would last for centuries.
And you can see right here why they call it a golden age. For nearly 200 years, the Mughals brought relative peace and incredible prosperity. They built magnificent forts and mosques, they sponsored breathtaking art, and their cultural influence is still everywhere today. And something else really important happened then. Sikhism was born, right there in the province of Punjab.
But, no empire lasts forever. As the mighty Mughal Empire started to weaken, a whole bunch of new powers, both local and foreign, jumped in to fight for control. This eventually led to European colonization, and ultimately, the painful birth of a new nation.
The power shift here was just incredibly swift and dramatic. As Mughal authority fell apart, local empires like the Sikhs and Marathas rose up. But their time in the sun was short. By the mid-1800s, the British East India Company had taken over most of the region, setting the stage for that pivotal and violent year of 1947.
Independence didn't just happen peacefully. It came at a devastating cost: partition. This brutal division of the land along religious lines set off one of the largest and most violent mass migrations in human history, leaving behind these deep, deep scars that you can still see today. All right, for our last section, let's look at what happened after independence and how the new nation of Pakistan dealt with the incredibly complex world of the 20th century and beyond.
The decades right after independence were, to put it mildly, full of challenges. The fight over Kashmir led to multiple wars with India. Inside the country, political tensions exploded into a devastating civil war that created Bangladesh. Since then, the country has kind of cycled back and forth between military rule and fragile democracy, all while trying to shape its identity as an Islamic republic.
Okay, get this. At its birth in 1947, the brand new nation of Pakistan had a population of about 35 million people.
And now, fast forward to today, and it's over 200 million. That is a mind-blowing population boom, and it's one of the biggest stories of modern Pakistan. It has completely reshaped its society, its economy, and its place in the world.
And that brings us to our final big question. I mean, for millennia, this land was a crossroads for others. It was a stage for other empires, other cultures. So the big question, the story of Pakistan today is, how does a nation with that kind of history forge its own unified path forward?